Students, so today's topic we have third factors of production, that is capital. Now, how we define capital? So, capital refers to man-made or produced means of production that can further use in the production process. Okay, so capital refers to man-made or okay. So capital refers to man-made or produced means of production that can be further used in the production process. So whatever the machinery, equipments, tools, building, factories, vehicles, these all are the part of capital. Okay. So the examples are machinery, tools, equipment, factory, buildings, trucks, different vehicles, etc. Okay, so once again, capital refers to man-made or the produced means of production that can further use in the production process. So different types of machinery. Okay, I'll give you example of JCB. We have seen, no, while constructing road they are using that JCB, or sometimes that a roller. So that roller is a produce means, but in order to produce or in order to construct road, again they are using that machinery. Okay, so that's why it is called produce means of production that can further use in the production process. Okay, and the example of this capital includes machinery, tools, equipments, factory, buildings. Okay, trucks, different types of vehicles. Okay, these all are part of capital. Now here you have to understand, some of the capital have long durability, whereas some of the capital have very short durability. So long durability capital includes different types of machinery that can be used for 5 years, 10 years, but some machinery are there, some machines are there that can be used for only maybe 1 month or 2 months. Okay, and then after that it may get wear out or tear out, or the value of that capital may depreciate. So the types of capital, when we are talking about capital, some capital have very high durability, whereas some capital have very low durability. Now next topic we have characteristics of capital. So the first characteristics is that capital is man-made. So whatever the machinery, equipments, tools we have discussed just before, so that all are what? Man-made. Okay, so capital is the result of savings which are made by a man, and when a human labor is applied on natural resources. Okay, how this capital is formed, here we have to understand. So first, this capital is man-made, different machinery, equipments, that all are man-made, and when the labor is applied on different natural resources, then capital is generated, machinery, equipments is generated, as I was talking about that JCB, rollers, etc. So that all are made up of iron. And when laborers are applied on that iron, or when the laborers are using that iron to give a different shape of that machinery, after that, that machinery could be used for different productive purpose. That's why it is called capital is man-made. It is made by man because of that application of labor on different natural resources. Natural resources, maybe iron can be considered as a part of that resources. Okay, different types of minerals are there on which labor is applied, then the machinery items or the capital is generated, and once it is generated, that can be used in the further production process. So that was the first point. Now second characteristics we have, capital U is durable. Capital is durable. An important characteristics of capital is that its durability. The capital goods, machineries, factory buildings, etc. are durable goods. Some capital goods last for very few months or very few years. So when we are talking about the capital is a durable goods, okay, that has a durability. Some capital goods can be used for 10 years, 20 years. Some capital goods can be used for 2 months, 5 months, 10 months maximum. After that, they may get damaged, like mobile phones and all. Okay, mobile phones and the electronic music system, etc. That can only that may have a durability of 1 year or 2 years. After that, it may get damaged. But the different machinery, equipments, or the factory, that has very long durability. So that is called capital is durable. Now third characteristics we have, capital is a passive factor. Capital is a passive factor of production. Okay, now here like land, okay, like land, capital is also a passive factors of production. In order to operate that machine, or in order to use that machine, at least labor is required. That's why it is called a passive factor. Passive factor means it cannot produce by itself. Somebody is needed. Laborers are needed to use or operate that machinery or equipments. That's why it is called passive factor. Okay, it cannot produce anything. Capital cannot produce anything by itself. That's why it is called passive factor. At least few laborers are required to apply on it, so that capital will start producing any items. So that is the third characteristics. Now fourth characteristics we have, capital is subject to depreciation. Capital is subject to capital is subject to depreciation. So first you have to understand the term depreciation. So depreciation means a wear and tear of machines, equipment, etc. So when there is a wear and tear of machine, equipments, so that is called depreciation. So capital is subject to depreciation means whatever the machinery, equipments, capital, when we are using in the production process, after some time period, okay, we have to replace some of the parts, or sometimes we have to replace the whole machine. So that is called depreciation. Wear and tear of machinery, equipments is called depreciation. So whenever we are using any machinery, equipments in the production process, after some time, some parts, Okay, some parts may get damaged. So once it gets damaged, we have to replace that part. Like we have seen in the case of car, motorbikes, scooty, no, after some time we can see that some parts may get damaged. So when we are replacing, okay, wear and tear of that scooty, bikes or car, when we are replacing that parts, then that is called depreciation. That's why capital is subject to depreciation. Means whenever we are using any capital in the production process, it is likely to depreciate. Okay, depreciate, or we have to replace some of the parts or some of the components of that machinery or equipments. Okay, next point we have supply of capital is elastic. Like we have seen in the case of land. So land is fixed in supply, or we can say that supply is fixed and limited. So we cannot increase because that is a gift of nature. But capital, the supply of capital can be increased or decreased depending on the situation. Whenever the demand for machinery equipments is very high, the production of that machinery equipments will be high. Okay, so the supply will be more. Whereas if the demand for machinery equipments is less, in that case the supply will be less. Like we have seen in the case of this COVID-19, no, what happens that the demand for cars, vehicles were very less. Okay, so in that situation what the producer did, the producers reduced the supply or the production of that cars and different electronic item, because the people were jobless, they didn't have any income to purchase it, because all these vehicles, cars, etc. have very high price. So in that case the producers, they reduce the supply of that machinery, cars, okay, and other electronic items. Okay, next topic we have functions of capital. So there are various several functions in the economy. First one we have increase in productivity. So when we are using machinery, equipments or capital in the production process, the per worker or the employees productivity has increased. So due to use of machinery equipments, the production process has increased. Okay, increase, or we can say that the production can be done maximum in a very short period of time. So due to the introduction of machinery equipments, we can see that per employees productivity has gone up or increase. Okay, so that is the first. And once the productivity or productivity of labor increases, obviously that contributes in the path of economic development. So development may takes place at the faster rate. So that is the first one. Now second important function we have extraction of goods from nature. So important function or the role played by capital in this modern economy is that it has become easier to abstract the different mineral resources, such as petroleum. We have seen in the case of mining also. So fishing and abstraction of different types of mineral resources from earth. So it has become easier due to the introduction or use of that machinery or capital. So that is called extraction of goods from nature. So the process has become more convenient, more easier due to use of that machinery or equipment. So this is also one of the important function of capital. Now the third one we have large scale production. So capital makes large scale production possible, because when we are using machinery, the production process will be very fast. Okay, we can produce maximum amount of goods and commodity, and due to that use of capital or machinery, the specialization of labor takes place. They are specializing in their particular field, and that increases the efficiency of labor, and finally if the labor are efficient, that will increase the productivity, and the production may takes place in a large scale. So that is the third important function of capital. As we have already completed the concept, characteristics, definition and the function of this land and capital, now we are going to differentiate between land and capital. So what are the difference between these two? Land is fixed and limited in supply. Okay, land is fixed and have limited supply, whereas in the case of capital, the supply of capital can be increased or decreased. So that is the first difference. Okay, the land is fixed and have limited supply, whereas supply of capital can be increased or decreased. Now the second difference is that land is a free gift of nature. We have done in the definition only. What is that? Land is a free gift of nature, whereas capital is man made. So this capital, machinery, equipments, that all are produced by man, that's why it is called man made. And the land, okay, surface of soil, we can say that sunlight, water, these all are free gifts of nature, so that comes under this land. And the third difference we have in the terms of mobility. So land is immobile. Okay, land is immobile in the sense that the land of Pakyong cannot be shifted to Gantok, or land of Gantok cannot be shifted to Pakyong. So it is immobile. We cannot shift from one place to another place. Whereas in the case of capital, some of the capitals are mobile and some are immobile. So I'll give you example which one is mobile and which one is immobile. So the factory buildings are immobile, okay, whereas electronic gadgets like car, bikes, truck, it can be easily movable from one place to another place. So some of the capital are mobile, whereas some of the capitals are immobile. So that is the important difference between this land and capital. Okay, now next we are going to discuss the difference between capital and labor. Okay, so capital can be considered as a passive factors of production. Okay, capital is a passive factor of production, whereas labor is an active factor of production. Now I hope you have got the difference between these passive and active factors of production. Passive means somebody is needed, it cannot produce anything by itself, but this labor can produce anything by itself. So that's why it is called active factors of production. And a capital is called passive factors of production. Now second one is capital is separated from its owner, okay, separated from owners, whereas labor cannot be from labor. Okay, this is the second important difference. Capital is separated from owners. Owners means, suppose say I am the owner of that machinery or car or trucks. So trucks I can give it to somebody else for using, okay, and I can stay at home. But that is not possible in the case of labor. Labor cannot say that I will stay at home and my this one services will be given to the production unit. No. So wherever the laborers are supposed to go, labor will remain attached with that laborers. Okay, the effort, physical or mental effort, will remain attached with that laborer. That's why it is called labor cannot be separated from a laborer, whereas capital is separated from owners. Means owner can be somebody else, capital can be other one. Okay, so here it is possible to separate, but in the case of labor it is not possible to separate. Now number 3, we have capital is durable. Capital is durable. And number 3, labor is perishable. So durable means that can be used for a longer time period, whereas labor is perishable. Perishable means if you don't use that labor for particular day, his labor will be wasted for that particular day. So perishable means once we are not using, means he may forget his talent, knowledge, skill, he may become dull, he may lose his quality. That's why it is called perishable. Okay, it will start losing his talent, skill, whereas this capital is a durable. Machinery, equipments can be used for a very long time period.